What is up, guys? Welcome back. I hope you're having a great afternoon. Today I just want to speak on one of the realities of anxiety, especially when it becomes more long-term and chronic and you're dealing with it, year after year. It's bad enough whenever you go through bad stretches for weeks or months, but whenever it's pretty rough every day and you've been dealing with this for years, it's exhausting, it's tiring, but something else that it does is it takes away time. It removes you from the present moment. You're always fixated on symptoms. It's hard to be present with your family, your kids, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, anything. With your friends, it's hard to enjoy things that you would normally be passionate about or enjoy. It's hard to do normal things, going to work, traveling, daily things around the house. Some of you are parents and you're seeing what it's like to wake up in the morning with toddlers or young children and you feel like you're going to die, and it feels so hard to take care of them, whenever you're dealing with what you're dealing with, and you still somehow get it done. You know what I mean? Some good mamas and daddies out there watching today that are struggling with anxiety. But I remember, and it sneaks up on you, especially like that first year. I remember coming around the year mark, and that's whenever I was dealing with bad heart anxiety, day in and day out, of having panic attacks and worrying about my chest pains and my heart rhythms and beats and checking and Googling and, going back and forth with doctors and stuff. And I remember, I saw the date, I think, on my laptop or something, and I was like, God, it was this same time last year, like in January, whenever this all happened, whenever I was watching the playoffs, football playoffs, and came home and then had that first major panic attack, and oh my God, it's the playoffs again. It's been like a year that I've been dealing with this, a whole year of my life. And I'm not trying to say this stuff to scare you. It's honestly to relate with you, but also hopefully to spark some motivation to get the ball rolling with your recovery. If there's things that you've been putting off, stop waiting. If there are things that you're avoiding, stop avoiding them. If you can do better with responding to your symptoms, be better with your responses. If you could be more aggressive with your exposure, be more aggressive with your exposure. If there are root causes and things that are, that are changeable, work on that. If you haven't tried therapy, try therapy. If you haven't reached out to somebody, reach out to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, use this video as more of like a motivator versus like a depressing reality, but I know what it feels like. And I remember thinking, wow, my God, man, that's a whole year of my life. And I was like, man, like the average life is 76. I was like, that's if I'm, decently lucky or whatever. 1/76 of that is gone. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. And it's even less, like, if you think about how far you've already lived. At the time, I was in my early 20s. So, man, that's like 155th of my life. Like, that's left for me to live is gone. So, that started to scare me. And I think as time went on, I started to realize, like, I needed to let go, and I wanted to let go of control, because I don't know how many more years I get. And, that had come to, the forefront of my mind with this health anxiety thing. Like, I knew what it was like to feel like I was dying every day, and to think that I had cancer, or to think that there was something chronically wrong with me or terminally wrong with me, thinking that every day I could have a heart attack. So I had that, I realized, like, life is short. Hell, I think it could end today. But over time, I think I gained some momentum with that fear and kind of turned, my fear of death and dying and disease and stuff like that more into a healthier realization of, like, I only have today, I only have this moment. I want to make the most of it. I became more afraid of not living, basically. And guys, you know what it's like. I mean, I even remember the last bout of health anxiety that I had. And I remember me and my wife had been together a couple years at this point, and we went to San Antonio, Texas. And I remember we stayed there for like 4 days. It's one of our favorite vacation spots in Texas. And I just remember just every day just thinking, like, I'm going to die of lymphoma. You know, I was going through this thing, and I've explained it a few times, where I had this pressure in my right ear, and I felt like there was something wrong with one of my lymph nodes under here. There was nothing wrong. If anything, it would swell up because I would mess with it and touch it all the time. But I remember thinking, like, the whole time, like, this is going to probably be my last vacation with my wife. It made it hard to enjoy the river walk. It made it hard to enjoy eating at restaurants and things like that. I think the only time I got distracted from it was if I was drinking a lot of beer or something at a restaurant, or when we got back to the hotel. I would do that so I could take my mind off of it. But I didn't even get to enjoy that vacation that year. Spent a lot of money on it. Didn't even get to enjoy it. Think about it. There's so many things: birthdays, dates, just being present with your kids. Like, anxiety robs you of those things. You're constantly in survival mode. You unintentionally become selfish. I'm not trying to sound insensitive when I say that. You're not trying to be a selfish person. You're not a selfish person, but we end up like having some of these selfish tendencies because it's like, well, you got issues, you got problems. I want to be here for you emotionally, but like, I'm dying over here. You know what I mean? At least you're not dying. I remember having that mindset, like, you've got it better than me. I'm the problem. I'm the one that needs the attention. So that doesn't help either. But I remember it removed me from the present moment. It removed me from events, vacations. It removed me from a normal life, So if you're watching this today, there are some things in your recovery process that you're reluctant to do. And I urge you guys today to not let this video be a depressing one, to use it as a motivator that we only get one time on this planet as far as we know. We get one chance at this. You know what I mean? And we only have a certain amount of time left. And, I think at the very end of my health anxiety, after I'd been dealing with it for 5 years, that was a big wake-up call. It's like half a decade of me thinking that I'm dying every day. Oh, my God. I became a lot more afraid of that, and that really propelled me to my F-it moment, and I really let go of control, and I started just not letting anxiety get in the way of me doing stuff, and that's whenever I stopped avoiding, and I was more aggressive with my exposure, and, everything came together. I hate that it had to take 5 years of my life away for me to get to that point, and to rob me of so many memories and moments of my youth. And I'm not saying every day was a nightmare. Sometimes I would have a decent day here and there, especially as the years went by with my anxiety and I could handle it a little bit better. But it was always just like a cloud over me of thinking about my body, my symptoms, checking this. I couldn't be there. Use this as motivation today, guys, to propel your recovery with doing anything that you're reluctant to do. It's not worth waiting around for. You know what I mean? If there's something you need to get away from it. If you need to change your environment, change it. If you need more exposure, do it. If you need to try therapy because you haven't tried therapy, if you need to work with a trauma specialist, work with a trauma specialist. Do whatever you can. Stop avoiding today. Change your responses. Stop putting it off till tomorrow, and stop hoping that this thing will just go away. So if you made it this far in the video, go down below and in all caps in the comment section, I want you to put, I will stop waiting. I will stop waiting. If you want more help with your recovery process, check out my course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp. I'm going to put it down below in the description and in the first pinned comment. Be sure to be a part of that if you haven't. I also have coaching services that I offer. I have an email down below that you can reach out to me for the information for that, and we'll see if we can get something set up. I have other socials, but guys, I love you all, and until next time, keep fighting.